Poncho from another day's walk here, and let me give you 5 tips on your Appalachian Trail through hike. I have never through hiked the Appalachian Trail myself, but the reason why I feel like I can give you these tips is the last 4 or 5 years I have been surrounded around the Appalachian Trail community. I know a bunch of completed through hikers, and this list kind of is coming from what they've told me. I've section hiked about 600 miles of the trail, but every time this cool breeze, the snow starts falling, I get excited for the next round of Appalachian Trail through hikers, and this year has been no different. I've been watching all the videos and everything's been looking good. I'm excited to see what happens this year. But first, let's get into this list. Tip number 1, don't carry too much food to start with. I see so many people in videos and myself when I section hike carry way too much food when I first start the Appalachian Trail. For some reason you feel like you need a lot of food, you're going to eat a bunch, but that's just not the way it is. It's like when you get hiking and stuff, you get to the point where you can't eat as much as what you think you will eat, and you're not as hungry as what you think you might be. So in my opinion, it might be smart to either look and make sure you got everything you need. Resupplies is also very close on the Appalachian Trail, so you don't need to be carrying 6-7 days of food at pretty much any time on the AT, unless you're a southbounder and you're starting through the 100-mile wilderness. At that point, I would say yes, you might need the 6 or 7 days of food, but anywhere else, I don't see it really necessary. You got Nils Gap at the beginning, and that's like 32 miles. If you want to drop a box there, I've seen a lot of people do that, and I see that as a smart move, because the resupply there can be great at some points, and at some points it could be kind of less than average. So if you're starting on Springer Mountain, I would recommend carrying however many days you think it'll take you to get to that 32, 33 miles, and then picking up a box that you dropped off. I think it's like $5 or $10 to hold a box there. Tip number 2, I see so many people also when they start the AT, and I have done this on sections of the AT, but it's carry 3 or 4 liters of water, or having the capacity to carry 3 or 4 liters of water. You are on the East Coast, you're in the Appalachian Mountains, and it rains a lot, and there is so many streams. So me as a very heavy drinker, I drink a lot of water, especially while hiking. I never needed more than 2 liters on me at any time, so I kind of go with that. So about 2 liters is all I would say you will need to carry at any point on the AT. There might be some sections in certain years that you might need more, but for the most part, 2 liters of water will get you all the way through the AT. I've seen people go through the whole AT with only 1 liter of water, but I would always at least have 2, but that's just to be safe. And also in the winter time, especially if you're starting in early to mid, even late February, it's going to be cold, and the colder you are, the less you want to drink, and it is important to stay hydrated, because once you get dehydrated, it goes downhill from there. So also on the topic of water, when you're first starting, if it's cold, just every time you fill up, try to drink a half a liter to a liter of water and keep yourself hydrated throughout the trail. Tip number 3. Now this is a little controversial, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion. There's so many videos out there saying that frameless packs are the way to go. And I'm not saying frameless packs are bad. But for me, I started with a frameless pack. I've hiked many times with a frameless pack, but I carry a little heavier base weight than most people, and with the heavier base weight, a framed pack, which I just got a frame pack, I will show that probably, it might be in my next video, it might not, but I will be showing that off. I've used it in the past, but this is a new one, and it is an awesome pack. But just stick to what you enjoy and what works for you. If you have a heavier base weight, I suggest sticking a little bit away from frameless packs, because if you're really light, they're really good, but if you're not really light, they don't really work. Number 2 on this little subtopic here is trail runners. A lot of videos say you need trail runners. I wear trail runners myself, but I have seen many thru hikers go through with mid-cut boots or waterproof shoes or anything other than trail runners. So if you right now are wearing a mid-cut hiking boot and you love them and you're starting to get suggested to stick away from them and go to a trail runner for the AT, stick to what you're used to and what you know works. The last thing you want to do is switch to a new shoe right before the trail and get blisters or something that you could have prevented by just using what you're used to and what you like. The ankle support, some people really love that, and if you need the ankle support, use it. I mean, don't switch just because some YouTuber on YouTube or some person when you start to trail says you need trail runners, because that is not true. And number 3, this is also kind of a personal experience for me, is single wall tents. Single wall tents can be great, especially in the summertime. I don't see a problem for single wall tents. But when you start at that early cold weather, single wall tent will have so much condensation and you will get soaked if it's not perfect conditions. So I used to use a single wall tent. I used the duplex. I used it when on almost every section of the AT, but I wish I had the double wall tent. For me, it would be easier to set up. I'm not the best with gear. I don't keep the best condition, and a double wall tent will stay better on a rougher person, I guess you can say. If you're rougher on your gear, a double wall tent will do better, and you can get really light double wall tents. But if you're stuck with the single wall and you love the single wall, go with it. I'm just saying, if you haven't chosen yet and you've always used a double wall and you're trying to get persuaded over to a single wall, I recommend just sticking to what you like and what you're used to, and that will be the best option for you. And then tip number 4, this is also might be a little controversial, but I would recommend trying to stay out of the prime time of the AT when people start, which is pretty much the month of March. I know that some people really love the social part of the trail. The Appalachian Trail is it's a huge and social trail. You're going to see people no matter when you start. But the reason why I don't recommend starting in March, if you could help it, is because there is limited camping spots and limited shelter space on the AT. Like, you could find some stealth camp, but if you're someone that likes social and you want to stick around people, it will be hard to get a group in tents or in the shelter, especially within the first 100 miles. But if you can start a little bit before that or a little bit after, that would keep you kind of around the bubble, they call it, instead of being stuck. And then for a little subclass of this topic here is, I recommend always carrying a shelter of some sort. It doesn't matter if it's tent, a hammock, double wall, single wall, a bivvy, just something you can sleep in if need be. Because shelters fill up really quick, especially at the beginning of the trail or through hot seasons. And then in the Smoky Mountains, people can rent out shelters and they get the spot over when a thru hiker will get the spot. So it's either you have a tent or you're stuck. So I would recommend taking a tent or a bivvy or a hammock, some sort of shelter. You may never use it, but it's good to have just in case. And then tip number 5 is, don't push yourself. Don't try to go out there and get 20, 30 miles. The Appalachian Trail is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes a long time to get through. I think anything over 10 days of hiking is a marathon, and the Appalachian Trail is way more than 10 days. So if you're hiking with a group and you really like the group, but they're pushing 5 miles more than what you're comfortable doing, I would recommend to slow down. You may catch up with them later. Just, you don't want to get off the trail. And I've seen many hikers get pushed off the trail before they even get out of Georgia, which is like 70 something miles, because they tried to push 15 and 20 mile days when they wasn't ready to push that much. and you do not want to be treating an injury within the first few days of the hike, or at worst getting pushed off trail because you couldn't just stay calm and work at your own pace. You will eventually build up to bigger and bigger miles, and also once you finish the trail, you're going to wish it wasn't over, and you're going to wish you took a little more time than what you did. That is my 5 tips for the Appalachian Trail through hikers. If you guys have any questions or you want to know anything else, you can just put it in the comment section below, and I will answer your questions, and if I get enough, I will make another video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and like always, I'll see you on the sunny side.